Hello, everyone. Hello. I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes to get in. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. I was able to get a couple things done and saw something on Twitter that I thought that I would share with you guys. Just going to refresh my screens here, get everything ready to go. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Um, just waiting to give a few more people time to get in. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Wonderful day. Let's always remember Gabby's family in our thoughts and prayers. I know this must be a very difficult time for them. Very difficult time. And let's just remember that, okay? Regardless of what we're feeling, what we're thinking, or whatever, Gabby's family is going through a very difficult time and they need all the love and support that they can possibly get. Um, I did see something on Twitter from Brian Eaton. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. It says the Northport police say that the FBI is now officially leading the search for Brian Laundrie. Police say the search in the Carlton's Reserve will be scaled back and targeted based on intelligence. Hopefully, the water will lower in areas hard to currently access. So, guys, they are scaling back the search in the Carlton Reserve. What did we talk about this morning? He's not in the Carlton Reserve. He's not there, guys. They wasted all that time and all that money. He's not there. But I guess some people just have to learn things the hard way. Um, I'm going to play something. I'm going to share something on the screen real quick and if I could click the right button, I would share it. Get my ears on so that I can hear it too. I hope everyone's having a great day. I really do. Come in and say hi. I don't bite, I promise. Okay. This is where they're talking about it, guys, okay? Right here. Now JB and his crew are supposed to be doing another update anytime. But I wanted to play at least this portion for you to show that this is official report that they are scaling back the search area. Take the mute button off there, girlfriend.
minutes, I move the camera over, you see just the amount of water in this area that they're going to have to start searching. Now, again, this is the Miakahachi Environmental Park. This is where they started searching. The original search was out in this area. This was because this is where the family said that Brian went hiking. He was used to this area. So back in this area is the houses and the different areas. We're going to now go over the search site, and it's more over in this area. But again, it's a vast area, and you see just how wet it is out there. This was the area we watched them search the very first day. Now you have to think back. When the parents reported him missing was not this past Tuesday, but almost 2 weeks. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks that they've been out searching in this Carlton Reserve, and they're entering now through the Miakahachi area. So we're down in the Northport area of the Carlton Reserve. And so we're going to get going, and JB's going to start his stream in the next couple minutes. So stay tuned for that. And WFLA Now, we'll be back. Okay.
WFLA Now will begin momentarily.
Okay.
WFLA Now will begin momentarily.
Here's a car right on the power pole. That could just be.
Streaming live on WFLA Now, powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY. Here's JB Buno.
A new strategy in the manhunt for Brian Laundrie. The search being scaled back at Carlton Reserve near Miakahachi as police say the efforts are now being, quote unquote, targeted based on intelligence. We're going to break down the latest live here from Eagle 8 HD Plus. New insight on the DNA collected over the weekend in the Laundrie family home. Hey there, folks. JB Buno here with you live on WFLA Now. Great to have WFLA and 8 on your side. Senior investigator Walt Buteau back here with us live on stream. We now enter yet another week here covering not, of course, just about talking about the Gabby Petito story, but talking about the manhunt here for Brian Laundrie here in near Venice, Florida. We also have in the sky Eagle 8 HD's Paul Lamison here with us. We've got a lot to get to here, but Eagle 8 HD has actually been live now over the scene here for about 15, 20 minutes and having difficulty here finding really any active search on the ground. Not to say that it's not going on here, but when we say scaled back, it looks like search efforts have been really scaled back here. But well, we'll get to Paul Lamison here in just a second. You see all the hashtags here around your screen. We want to bring you into the conversation here. It's a new week here. It is Monday, September 27th. We want to hear from you here. What do you think about the search efforts being scaled back? What do you think about that line? Targeted based on intelligence. That's interesting. We'll kind of break that down. Use any of the hashtags here on your screen. And yes, we're also going to talk about the DNA that was collected, or the DNA sample that is said to have been collected, reportedly collected from the Laundrie family household here over the weekend. So use any of the hashtags here around your screen. Hashtag Hey Paul, hashtag Hey Walt, hashtag Hey JB. But speaking of Paul, let's check in with Eagle 8 HD's Paul Lamison. Hey there, Paul, over the radio. What have you seen so far in Eagle? You've been live here for many, many minutes now, but what are you seeing here from Eagle?
Hey, Hey, JB, good afternoon to you. It's a completely different search. Now, let me explain that. Originally, they searched down where we're flying now at the Miakahachi Environmental Park out into the Carlton Reserve. We're down in the Northport area. The search had moved to the northern or the western side up by Venice, and they had been focusing there. That's where the large searches were, and they had been doing that until Friday when we came down here. We couldn't find anyone. So today we came down, we went over the command center that had quite a bit of cars. Today, not a single car in the command center. That area is still closed off to park visitors, but no searching. We came down to the Miakahachi Environmental Park, and that's where we saw them setting up a new, smaller command center. We saw 10 vehicles there. I think about 6 of them marked, 4 unmarked, and a trailer. However, we haven't seen any activity. We followed out from the command center into the reserve, Carlton Reserve, and we've yet to see any kind of searching at all out in this area. And I want to show you something, just how wet it is out here. It seems even more wet from before. These are power lines. They usually string them on drier, higher land. You see where the power lines are. They're down now into the water. There's a lot of water here that we've noticed, and it almost seems like more that the rain from the past several days, everything ends up in this area of the Carlton Reserve. It's a lot wetter, and this search, they did say it was scaled back and the FBI was leading it. Northport Police told us that, and definitely scaled back. We have yet to see anybody out in this area doing any kind of searching. The command center, which was over to the side, is almost, there's hardly any vehicles and very little and no activity that we've seen. So we're over the area now, and what we're doing is we're just flying, and anything that catches our eye, we look. The only things I've seen some birds, and I did see one like empty, like store bag that was blowing around, but nothing as of note. And that's what the Northport Police told us on Friday, and even over the weekend. They have not found any evidence that they can link to Brian Laundrie, but they're still out here. They've moved the search now further to the east, down towards Northport. But again, look, I'm going to move the camera and show you where we are. Just look at this vast area. We're talking 25,000 acres of search. Here's where we are, and I'm going to show you where the other search was. If you follow this roadway all the way down to these homes, right out in front of those homes is where the old search was, where they were really combing those woods that are in the center of your screen. Now, if I move the camera, you see how far they've moved down to this new area, and that's where they continue to search. But today, we have not seen anyone out here searching. And again, this area is the same area they've searched for a few days. They then moved to the west to search, and now they're back to the east, down by Northport, again they're entering and exiting the park through the Miakahachi Environmental Park and coming out into the Carlton Reserve. But again, JB, we have not seen anybody out searching, and they say they're going to search on basically evidence or DNA or stuff like that, but we haven't seen anybody focused even in any area. And we've been flying around now for the last probably 40 minutes, and we started at the old search. We're down in the new area. We haven't seen even a person, a dog, an ATV, a truck. The only trucks we saw out were doing different work, nothing with the search. So, JB, that's what we're doing now. We're just flying over this area. So, to me, it looks like this search has grown cold. They either know something and they're not telling us, or they've exhausted it and they're just going to now go back and search bits and pieces, maybe of what the parents told them, maybe what they figured out. But right now, JB, this is not the same kind of search that we've seen the last few days and few weeks. So now it seems to really narrow down and tightened up, and it's small, and we haven't even seen any searching. So, JB, I'm going to throw it back to you, because from up here, we can see quite a distance, but we haven't seen any searchers yet in the Northport area of the Carlton Reserve. Back to you, JB.
Paul, here's what we're going to do here, Paul, and I hit the wrong button here. Let's go back here to Eagle 8 HC here live. Paul, here's what we're going to do. We're going to leave your comms open here. We're going to leave your mic up. If you do spot anything, please feel free to just come through on the mic, and Walt and I will allow you to speak here. So if you see anything from Eagle, let us know.
We will do that, JB. We'll be up here, and we'll fly around for the next little bit.
All right, folks. Eagle 8 HD's Paul Lamison will keep his comms at about half volume here. Let's come back here with you live. JB Buno, Walt Buteau. Let's read that email from this morning from Josh Taylor. Now, Josh Taylor, of course, who we spoke to on WFLA Now, he is the spokesperson for Northport Police and has been providing us with all of these updates here. So let's read exactly what he said. And he said, this is an email from Josh Taylor, Public Information Officer. He said, Walt, I don't think you're going to see those large-scale types of efforts this week. The FBI is now leading the search. I'm told it will be scaled back and targeted based on intelligence. Hopefully, water will be lower in areas hard to currently access. Specific questions about the search will now be directed to them. NPPD will continue to assist based on their direction. Unfortunately, that also means interviews need to run through them too, as far as the FBI now really being fully in charge here of the search efforts that are currently ongoing here, the manhunt for Brian Laundrie here. But we'll start to bring in some of your hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyWalt, hashtag HeyPaul comments and questions here. And I want to bring in some of the commentary based on that one line. It's being targeted based on intelligence. So, I had somebody on Twitter, on my WFLA JB Twitter and my WFLA JB Instagram account, Walt, get a hold of me before the show. And they say, if it's targeted based on intelligence, then what was the search last week? Was it targeted based on something that wasn't intelligence? As if, hasn't this whole search been targeted based on intelligence all along?
Maybe I think last week maybe they had a wider area that they wanted to narrow down as a place, or eliminate really as a place. I think sometimes, most times I should say, in investigations, you want to eliminate things as much as you want to uncover things. And maybe they wanted to eliminate that area. And now in the scaled back version, the word target, I don't think they used that last week, that they're targeting specific smaller areas. But great question, JB, because we're pretty sure last week's was based on some sort of intelligence. At least we hope it was.
Yeah, and Ashley Schilling here saying hashtag HJB based on intelligence of what? And we don't know. And again, the FBI, Northport Police, the investigators on the manhunt for Brian Laundrie, they can only give out so much information here. They're not allowed, of course, to, and they won't be giving out any information that, of course, discloses too much about the search tactics that are being employed here as far as trying to find where Brian Laundrie is, whether he's here at Carlton Reserve or whether he's elsewhere. We are going to talk about the Appalachian Trail here. There's a lot of conversations we're going to have. So for those of you just joining us, and we're constantly engaging a new digital audience here, hello there to you. We've got Paul Lamison with an open mic here. He's in Eagle 8 HD. We'll be bringing him in as he finds things of note here as he flies over this now newly sort of, let's say, this retooled search here for Brian Laundrie at Carlton Reserve, really closer to Miakahachi here. Walt and I are going to talk more about the DNA that was collected over the weekend. That was an interesting development. And two, we're going to continue to take your hashtag HJB, hashtag HeyWalt comments and questions here. Let's take just a couple here and get through some of the comments that are already filed in here in our queue. And let's see here. Let's take this one, Jill Dixon, hashtag HJB. When will we get Gabby's autopsy results, and when will it be released to the public? Of course, we had the funeral and the memorial service yesterday in New York, and now there's a lot of people wanting the autopsy results. And again, what we expect is there to be preliminary autopsy results at least released first, and that could come today. Walt, that could come today, that could come tomorrow. That's probably something we're going to find out sooner, I would imagine, rather than later, unless it's an extremely complicated case, and it's a non-obvious cause of death from the medical examination that's been conducted in Northwest Wyoming.
Well, it was ruled a homicide just last week. Correct.
Right.
And at that point, the body was found only a week ago Sunday. And then the autopsy, I believe, the results the manner of death was released Monday or Tuesday. I don't have the timeline in front of me, but at that point, when they conducted the autopsy, as they started at that coroner in that county in Wyoming came out and said usually take 2 to 3 weeks. So now we're getting into week 2. But you're right. Preliminary results could happen. We could know the cause of death sooner rather than later if they're able to determine that. Or not. Again, I know people are frustrated, but keep in mind, this is an open criminal investigation, and the agents and the officers involved, they have a goal, and that is to make a case and to see what they can prove in court. And that's their goal. Their goal is not to inform us. I will tell you this. A shout out to the FBI. I had emailed last week trying to ask. I think it was Friday. Asked, was that more than $1,000 in the indictment of Brian Laundrie, the indictment for credit card fraud? Was it one lump sum taken out in cash, or was it many transactions across the country? And I really didn't expect any result because
any response from the FBI.
Imagine how many
inquiries.
And I did get a response. It wasn't what I wanted, but they did respond. It was not a robo response, and they said, we can. What the FBI always says, we can either confirm or deny any of the details. But at least they did respond, which says a lot about those folks out there. So they're very busy, and they're getting a lot of questions like this one.
Let's talk now about the DNA. Thank you, Jill, for your question. We're going to talk about the DNA again. 8 on your side, senior investigator Walt Pito joining us. We've got Eagle 8 HD's Paul Lamison in the sky here as well. We'll be listening in here for Paul. I'm just going to bring his levels up here, so if anything comes through from Paul, we'll be able to listen in. But right now, the search for and the manhunt for Brian Laundrie scaled back to the point where Paul can't find where they are, where they're searching here near Miakahachi. That's a considerable development considering all the crews and everything that we had over the course, of the week prior here. You remember some of this video that we received here, showing, them trekking through the mud, and not to say that this isn't happening, but Paul is as experienced as any chopper pilot and photographer in the country, and he hasn't been able to find them, and he's about 35 minutes, 40 minutes or so into combing through here. We'll bring it back up here live. The very, very rural Carlton Reserve near Miakahachi. So you can use #K Paul, #K Walt, #K JB, and we can animate your comments here on screen. But let's talk about what occurred over the weekend. The DNA sample that was reportedly collected from the Laundrie family house here. Colleen Claire Artigan Larson, #KJB. I would think they'd have gotten his DNA way before this. So let's put away Colleen's comment here, and let's show you the video that occurred here over the weekend. I'm going to walk you through what exactly transpired here. This is again from the weekend. Yesterday, right, Walter? Yesterday. So the FBI pulls up here. There you see the black SUV. FBI gets out, and they head right for the front door here. Walk right here into the Laundrie home. They have a officer then stationed outside here to ensure, of course, that nothing compromises the execution here of them again collecting the DNA sample here, or DNA evidence here. They go in, and we're going to kind of flash forward here now. Because it was only they were in the house for 3 minutes, Walt. 3 minutes. We counted 3 minutes, and they were back out, which is very, very quick. So they went in there likely with the intention to get something specific. I've heard things, talked about, and this is pure speculation, but of course on Twitter, like something as simple as a toothbrush. I mean, going in there to collect something, put it, of course, in that. It's there with the officer here, or with the agent of the FBI, and then they drive away. It's that simple. So what do we know, Walt, about this DNA sample that was collected here at the Laundrie family household yesterday?
Not a lot. We know the size. We know what you said. The amount of time they're in there, which would lead you to believe that they knew exactly what they were looking for. But yeah, there's no doubt that the FBI had been in there last Monday. And the assumption was they were looking for DNA at that point. They also have his Mustang, and they have Brian Laundrie's Mustang, and they have the van, all of which we can believe would have been scanned for DNA. Here's what experts have told me, though, and police officers. And I've called 7 retired FBI agents this morning, several police officers, and we're reaching out to some DNA experts. One thing to keep in mind.
Hold on, Paul's opening his mic here.
Hey,
good.
JB.
Let's communicate with Paul here. Just, hey, Paul, it's JB. What'd you find?
We haven't found anything. I just wanted to give you guys a shot of this because earlier we showed it and then we didn't for a while. This is the new makeshift command center. This is where they started the original search. This is in the Miakahachi Environmental Park. And you see, this is really the only activity we've seen. And we haven't even seen activity. We've seen vehicles parked and we haven't seen any of the people. But you see, there's about 10 vehicles out here. There's a Sarasota Sheriff vehicle, there's Northport Police, and then 3 unmarked vehicles, 4 with the trailer, almost like they're going to set up a command center, but there isn't a command center yet. This is the only sort of activity we've seen. And again, this is the area I wanted to show you at the beginning of the park. So that's nothing new, JB, but just wanted to give your viewers a chance to see where the search is centered from. This was the original area where they started searching. So I'll throw it back to you guys.
Thanks, Paul. Again, we'll keep your mic open and crystal clear. In the event that you see something out there that you'd like to report, mic will remain open. Thanks, Paul. All right, Eagle 8 HD's Paul Amison, as I tried to ask him a short time ago here to keep us posted on anything that he finds out there. But yes, that was at the very beginning of our stream here in a couple of different places, a couple of different social media platforms. So if you missed it, that just goes to show that the headquarters for the search efforts is smaller, and clearly the search efforts are smaller. And it's not that they're trying to conceal that. The spokesperson for Northport Police saying here this morning that the search efforts are being scaled back and more targeted based on intelligence, which is of course interesting, and we can talk more about that here. But Walt, we were just talking about the DNA evidence. I'll let you continue. Well,
so a child's DNA could be very close to a parent's DNA, very, very, very close. And again, if they're building a case, they don't want very close. They want as close as possible. So as this one officer said to me, in a perfect case, in a perfect scenario, you would want the DNA of the child and both parents, so that the expert that could then tell the difference and sort of rule out the parents and sort of show that that slight difference between the 3 types of DNA. Because in a house, in a family's house, you're going to have the DNA of everyone who lives there. And you could get hair samples from a father and a son, and a defense attorney could theoretically say, well, wait a minute, you don't know that's so-and-so's DNA. And so you want to be as close as possible. And a parent does not have to give up their DNA. And if they found 3 various types of DNA in there that are very close to each other, they wouldn't know whose is whose. And then to try to match that to a crime scene, now again, you want to be as close as possible. And it's all about building a case. So for all we know, they grabbed something in there that they know belongs to Brian Laundrie. And now they want to use that to potentially match it to the scene of this homicide or something else. He, again, only a person of interest, not only a person of interest. It's very close to be a person of interest and a suspect, but just a person of interest, not a suspect yet in that case.
Again, wanted on that federal arrest warrant for credit card fraud using the Capital One debit card that it was said to be, of course, that's illegal. And now the subject of the federal arrest warrant for use of unauthorized access devices. Still have that indictment right here in front of me. A lot of papers here on my desk.
A quick note: on Friday, late in the afternoon, we were both here. I was finishing something up, and I checked Pacer one last time. At the bottom of the Brian Laundrie docket, it said arrest warrant, a new arrest warrant. And of course, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, here it is.
So we are scanning, of course, here, folks, and staying very much on top of any new documentation that comes through here on this case. A lot of documentation could be available this week. You know,
Sure.
it could become available in the next couple of hours. So we're going to stay on top. And if there's significant documentation that becomes, again, publicly available through a public records request, or it's just uploaded to Pacer, we'll of course pass that along here to you and break it down. And we're live here on WFLA Now. And if there's any new developments here, whether it's pertaining to documentation, the search efforts, something going on outside of the Laundrie family home, we'll of course let you know about it.
But in this particular case, that document that I thought was a new indictment was actually the old indictment, but they had just reposted it with a slight parenthetical adjustment. So it was alarm went off at first, but it was just a slight adjustment to the original indictment, which is for the unauthorized access devices, which is the credit card fraud.
We'll continue to take your hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyWalt questions here. A lot of people theorizing if Brian Laundrie isn't at Carlton Reserve, if he's not at Miakahachi, if he's not where authorities are looking, then is he somewhere else? And where could he be? We're going to get into some of those questions and comments coming in here, including I had a very curious one just come in here a moment ago. But let's just stay on the DNA evidence here for another minute or two. Rebecca English, hashtag HeyJB. Didn't they just go there last week? Why wouldn't they have taken it at that time, Walt?
Well, I bet they did, but did something happen during the week that said we need this? Again, I'll say it again. They could have collected DNA at a house, at any house, speaking hypothetically, because nobody's charged with anything. You could collect DNA at a house. You could have the mother, the father, another relative, and the child, and you want to know which DNA you have. So theoretically, do you go back?
Hold on a second.
Get something that specifically belongs to him, and now maybe it's a comb, maybe it's a toothbrush, because now you're going to be able to have a better match. And again, it's about building a case.
Hold on a second here. I just saw something from Eagle, and I want to bring this up here, folks. I want to bring this up from Eagle 8AC More. Hey, Paul, you just found something there. What was that? That looked like what did you just have?
Maybe that was a deer stand. We saw that earlier. We're down probably further east than where we were. And then there's this as well we found. Again, we don't know if they've even searched this area. We think they probably have. It looks like somebody's living out here. Let me get you a shot of it. Yeah, it's an old RV or a travel trailer we saw as well. Again, I don't know if this is just someone out here. Looks like an old RV that's parked out here. We don't see any activity near it, but we just saw it. And anything that catches our eye, we're going to look.
Paul,
but this looks like this is an area that somebody has been here, like maybe living or just thrown out. We don't see any new activity out here. But anytime we see stuff, and there's like a junk pile out there as well.
Paul, let me ask you this.
When we spot stuff, we want to look.
Radio comms here. Hey, Paul, let me ask you this. Just how you've been searching this area now from Eagle 8 HD for more than a week now. How uncommon is it common to find like an RV and trash and discarded belongings there, like you just found there with that mobile home that appeared to just be abandoned?
Yeah, here's what happens, JP, out in this area. This is basically this road and this that you see right out there. That's almost like the southern end of the Carlton Reserve. Now, and this road is almost the other end of it. So out into here, you get into more people's property. And so I think that's what we were on. When you see property, I think people maybe store stuff and it kind of blends into the park. But out in the main part of the park, we haven't seen anything like that. That's why it really caught our eye, because we were really near the edge of the Carlton Reserve where it goes into people's property. Like, I'll show you this. This is Carlton Reserve as far as you see, but if I move the camera to the left a little bit, right over here are homes. So these are people that live close to it. So then when you get close to that, I think you're seeing stuff, and I think that's really what that was. At first, it struck us as odd, and we wanted to check it out. We saw the deer stand, then we saw the old trailer, but we also saw some construction. So we think we were probably out of the reserve. Now that we're back in it, this is what we see, and we really haven't seen anything like that before. And I think we might have been too far outside of the search area. But again, JB, anytime we see something that strikes us, we come back and check. So that's, I think, could be it. I don't think it's anything. But again, there's the command center, and we might have been a little too far out of it, but we just wanted to check it out anyway. So I'll throw it back to you, JB.
Thanks, Paul. We'll again keep your comms open here, and if you spot anything interesting, don't be shy. We'll keep your mic open.
Okay.
So back here with you live here, folks. JB Buno, Walt Buteau. I think that's a very interesting portion of this search here, because we've been talking, Walt. We'll go back to, there's more questions in the queue here about the DNA component of this. We are going to resume the conversation here in a second, but let's talk, because our YouTube, hello YouTube, Facebook, and our audience watching here on social media just lit up with people saying, wow, so that's an RV, that's a mobile home, an abandoned mobile home. And while, we don't know if that has been searched, if that particular unit has been searched, and we don't know if how many of those types of abandoned mobile homes or abandoned RVs are out there. But let's just point this out. We've been talking here about the elements over the last 10 days. The nonstop rain, shelter, having some form of shelter is advantageous for somebody that is trying to disappear out here. And while being in that RV and being in a camper like that for an extended period of time would be unbearably hot. It's still it's still a place where in theory you could hide. Now, is that too obvious of a hiding spot for somebody like Brian Laundrie if he is in fact out here trying to elude authorities? But I just want to note that our comment section just lit up here. And I asked Paul, I said, Paul, like, how many RVs like that? How many abandoned mobile homes and campers are out there like that? Because if there's a lot, then in theory, Brian Laundrie, if he knows the area well enough, he can move from one to the other. But at the same time, you would think that makes it way more simpler for the FBI and for law enforcement, to find Brian, because that would be an obvious place to check.
Right. But you could theoretically, since he might have known, somebody had pointed this out to me on Facebook, that the noise that the search was making could theoretically alert someone to go to a new location when they heard that noise.
Hold on, Paul.
Go ahead. A couple things for the later newscasts. So if you want to turn my mic off for a little bit.
10-4, Paul. Thank you. All right, Paul is going to be recording some reports here for our newscast later on tonight here. So we'll put his mic down temporarily and we'll bring it back up here soon. But Walt, continue.
Yeah, I think that, but at night, if he is confident enough to know there's not boots on the ground at night, I guess you could go into something like that if you are desperate, especially in the rain, I guess. Although, I don't know, if you're theoretically running from something, are you really that worried about getting wet in the rain? I don't know if I would be. I mean, it's not like it's the middle of winter in the Northeast when you're going to freeze to death. I guess you would maybe be leery of animals and such in the middle of the night, nocturnal animals.
I would just say that I'm not entirely sure whether or not he would seek cover from the rain or try to get something, get something over his head and to sneak into an RV or a camper like that. But I would say this, that an abandoned RV camper like that would be a pressure cooker of heat. You couldn't just go in there with how hot it is during the day. There's no way you could just go in there and stay for hours.
No,
you would lose 10 pounds. I mean, you would. It would make a sauna look like an igloo. I mean, it would be so swelteringly hot in there. So I would imagine that that's something that they would check.
Yeah.
And a place like a deer stand. Absolutely. I mean, these are things that are going to be checked. But for police to just go into an RV and a camper and just find him lounging up there, reading a magazine and kicking his feet up on an old rundown lazy boy in there, and oh, there's Brian. He was just in there all along. I think everybody wants it to be that simple, but right now I just don't know if it's going to be that simple. Back to the DNA conversation. Is there anything you want to add before I take some more questions about the DNA that was collected this weekend and the weekend trip here this Sunday, September 26th?
No, just again that I think, to me, if anything, it seems to be about a process of elimination. I did have one retired FBI agent who said to me, she said, I think I know why they're doing it, but I don't want to say it because I don't want to ruin the investigation. And that's sort of what we're dealing with here. We want public information. Everybody wants information, but there you have it stated from a retired agent that, that there are things you don't want to be said because you don't want the person of interest or the suspect to know what was said in public. So that's why you hold things close to your vest.
And again, people are noting here that they didn't go into the house, or somebody was noting here that they didn't go into the house. So there they go into the front area here, and it looks like they knock on the door. Can we confirm, Walt, to your knowledge, that they did in fact go into the house? Again, it was a brief visit, only 3 minutes long. Let
me read you the exactly what Stephen Bertolino, the Laundrie's attorney, said, who we believe they met with him last Wednesday. Was that Wednesday they drove to Orlando? The FBI requested some personal items belonging to Brian Laundrie to assist them with DNA matching, and Brian's parents provided the FBI with what they could. Thus, you would think you didn't have to go in the house. You went, they gave you the stuff, and you left. With this in mind, it seems like the Laundries cooperated with that request.
Okay. Let's take some more questions and comments here. We'll say one or two more about the DNA line of questioning. And Jennifer Washington, #KJB, #KWalt. Did they have a warrant for the DNA, or are the parents just actually cooperating, is what Jennifer here is saying.
I think in that statement, the FBI requested and Brian's parents provided. So they could have needed a warrant if they didn't cooperate, but they apparently cooperated in this case, in this particular part of it.
Sandy Neldon, #KJB. Any chance the parents are in custody? I've seen no coverage of them. We've had many. I'm
going to say there's no chance. There's no chance they're in custody.
There's no chance they're in custody, as the Walt is saying here. And to say that Sandy must be a new viewer, because we've been talking about of course, Chris and Roberta Laundrie here. We've been talking about them and showing you video of them every time they go in or out of the house. We have something to show you here. So saying that I've seen no coverage, They made that trip to Orlando. That was for legal reasons that Walt just mentioned a short time ago. That was last week. And so there's been plenty of coverage of the Laundrie family, to say the least. Say that again? Oh, okay. That's interesting. Let's go split screen here, folks. Hit a couple buttons on the touch screen here, and let's hit that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. Split screen. Live on the left side of your screen from Eagle 8 HD, live over the Carlton Reserve near Miakahachi, where the search and manhunt for Brian Laundrie continues, but it is a retooled manhunt here, being scaled back here in this area as police efforts are now being, quote unquote, targeted based on intelligence. On the right side of your screen, live for the Laundrie home in Northport, Florida, you can see there that is the home. And what you don't see is what's across the street from that yellow home, which is, of course, endless amounts of cameras, members of the media, and I'm sure police that are just keeping a very close eye here on the Laundrie home for a multitude of reasons here. So live here, split screen on WFLA Now, showing you the ongoing manhunt efforts here on the left side of your screen, even though Paul has really been unable to find anything super active here on the ground. And on the right side of your screen here, things relatively quiet right now. But you see there the Ford Mustang convertible. You see the camper. You see some of the vehicles here that we have been talking about here over the course of the last 10 days. Those vehicles and that Mustang and that camper, very much part of this story and part of the online sleuthing that is going on places like Reddit, on Twitter, on TikTok. We'll keep you if we see anything. We're going to stay here with you live, mostly on the left side of the screen. That's I think what people are. That's obviously more active right now. It's very quiet here outside of the Brian Laundrie home. But if anything changes here on the right side of your screen, well, of course, we can hit the touch screen, and we're from right outside Brian Laundrie's home. back here with you live, everybody. Any final thoughts here, Walt, before we move on? Again, this was the visit yesterday. This is here in the center of your screen when the FBI pulled up, executed the request for DNA. Any final thoughts here before we move on from this portion of the conversation?
I think the theory that they're trying to match something they had earlier from somewhere else to knowing it is Brian Laundrie's DNA is a really good theory, especially, sometimes rereading a statement helps because, again, and I think that's why they went back. I think that we can sort of assume that's why they went back and that they had something else. They probably already had some DNA, but they want to make sure it's Brian and perhaps not the father or the mother so that they know that it's a match as they, again, build this case. And again, again, one more quick point. That camper, I had more questions over the weekend about that camper. People are obsessed with what happened during that 3-day trip with that camper. Where did they go? Did they go to Canada? That's a big theory. Did they drop someone off in Canada? We've gotten tips about spottings up there in Canada, but we won't know until more of this, more details about this case are released, and that may not happen until we actually see if there is an indictment for something more than credit card fraud, or if the FBI comes out and speaks about this. They usually don't until the case is built, and it's not built yet, apparently.
Let's talk about some of the online chatter that is out there. I have been, reminding our audience here that even though there's an overwhelming amount of commenters here that say that there's no chance Brian Laundrie is in Carlton Reserve, let's remind folks, you don't know what the FBI knows. You don't know what Northport Police knows. There could be an indisputable piece of evidence that leads them to, of course, have a fair degree of certainty that Brian Laundrie is here at Carlton Reserve, or at least was at Carlton Reserve at some point in time after, of course, he was known to be missing. So, but with that said, there is so many different threads out there pertaining to where he is. And let's just take this one. And it comes in from Joyce here a moment ago in the comment section. And I want to talk about the Appalachian Mountains. Joyce Herrick here, hashtag hey, Walt, why aren't they checking the Appalachian Mountains? And let's talk about the Appalachian Mountains because, of course, the report came out that Brian Laundrie had experience on the Appalachian Trail, which of course starts in northern Georgia, goes up through the Carolinas, really all the way to the northeastern United States. It is a mountain range, and it is a trail that is, of course, one of the more famous mountain ranges and trails in the United States here. So first and foremost, have you heard, I don't know if they are checking the Appalachian Mountains here. I don't know if that is something that is actively being pursued here as far as that information that he had a familiarity there and he had been there before. But this is now a lot of people who are asking. And of course, we haven't talked about Dog the Bounty Hunter. That was really the big viral moment over the course of the weekend, Dog the Bounty Hunter. And if you joined me on my WFLA JB Instagram page over the weekend where I was at home, I was able to do a live stream from home, as I was told by my managers to go home and rest a little bit. And Walt, I'm sure you were given the same message, go home and rest up. But I did an Instagram live, and people were asking me, what do you think about Dog the Bounty Hunter joining the manhunt for Brian Laundrie? And my response here, and well, I'll let you comment on this here as well. The more, the merrier.
Yeah.
Welcome to what has been now an ongoing search efforts and combing through information here. And the more people and the more resources, the more connections, the more momentum and bigger of it. Dog the Bounty Hunter joins the thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions that have their eyes peeled for Brian Laundrie out there. And yeah, if he has a talent for finding people, then welcome. We of course, I think law enforcement would say the same thing. Just we appreciate any and all efforts to comb through tips and any more attention that we can bring to the story and bring to Brian Laundrie's physical description. I'll talk more about that here in just a second. But I was glad to see it. I was glad to see it because if he is a star in the world of television and he can bring attention to the story, the more attention, the better. And the more attention I think that there is out there, the more it's on people's radars and the closer we are to finding Brian Laundrie. But Dog the Bounty Hunter said, I think need to be looking at that Appalachian Trail. Look at the Appalachians, and to the 3-day camper trip now. While I'm bringing this all back around,
Maybe
full
that's
circle.
what he's looking into. And by the way, when someone says, why aren't they checking the Appalachian Mountains? We don't know that they're not.
Right.
We don't know that they're not. And the other thing, I asked a law enforcement officer this because I was curious. It hit me over the weekend. Any chance that the search in the in Carlton Reserve and that the area near the river, any chance that's some sort of diversion to make
a misdirection,
or any chance they're not looking for him? They're looking for that maybe they're looking for evidence. Let me just take this call real quick.
All right, Walt. Again, bat phone ringing off the hook here, folks. We'll come back to that, but people have been asking about the 3-day camping trip. The 3-day camping trip that, again, the Guthries, a family across the street from the Laundries, spoke to Fox News and told them that they noticed Brian come home, and then Brian and his parents leave for a 3-day, camping trip, or what he thought was a camping trip, because they left with the camper. And how far can you get in? Now you can't say on a 3-day trip because it's a round trip. So how far can you travel from Tampa Bay, from the Tampa Bay area, from the southern end of Tampa Bay, where of course Northport, Florida is? How far can you travel in a day and a half, and then give, of course, there's got to be the time, of course, again, 3 days. So a day and a half there, a day and a half back. I think that you could absolutely make it to the Appalachian Trail. You could make it to northern Georgia. I have family that have made that trip from the Tampa Bay area to central and northern Georgia for various trips. And that is a trip that you absolutely can make in a day and a half. So is it within the realm of possible? Absolutely. And so if there's momentum now, for the Appalachian Trail, that's of course something that we'll find out more as to whether or not there's any evidence. But here's what I want to know. If there was that 3-day camping trip somewhere in the area of September 9, 10, 11, 12, somewhere in that 3-day window there, bring back in Walt here. If there was that trip, then where are the traffic cameras snapping pictures of that camper and of the pickup truck? Where is the evidence that shows where that camper went? That's what I want to know. I want to know from the FBI, where did that camper go?
You can't go anywhere without getting on video. And I reflect on the Aaron Hernandez case when they finally got Aaron Hernandez. They had
really quickly here, Walt, a live picture here. I'll let you continue. Live picture here from outside of the home here. This is some of the tape that's up here around the area. And this is somebody stapled this to a post here outside of the home here. And again, let's make this very, very clear. This is an accusation here by members of the community or by whomever put this up here. Brian Laundrie is wanted on a federal arrest warrant for, of course, credit card fraud, the charge being use of unauthorized access device here. But this just goes to show some of the frustration that is out there in the Northport community. That, again, you just saw it there. And Pat Bramall, our photographer here, panning over back to the house, literally pretty much right there on their front lawn is that's some of the feedback that the family is seeing out there, Walt. So, back to the video that you're asking, the questions of that, we don't know that they don't have that. And it seems like something that it's so out there about that camper. It's hard to believe that police have not looked into it, but do they want us to know everything about what they're looking at? My answer to that is they do not. They don't want us to know, and they don't want the public to know. And that's not because they're keeping secrets out of contempt for the public. They're trying to solve, or they're trying to, again, build a case. And they don't want interference, and they don't want suspects and defendants to know everything that they know. It is a chess game to some degree. But I just would, how far can you get in 3 days? We were just, so when you were taking the call from the bat phone there, we were just talking about that. You can get to the Appalachian Trail in a day and a half. I'm certain of it.
Can you get to Canada?
No. From Central Florida?
Yeah.
No.
So I do. So the Canadian
can't even make it to Mexico.
I hate to
not a day and a half.
I hate to fuel the Canada talk, but we had a woman up there who says she saw someone who looked like Brian. He was wearing a winter hat. which was unusual because Canadians aren't wearing winter hats now. This was Thursday. This person, she did call the FBI. She has not heard back from the FBI. This was 4 hours into Canada, but I said to her, can you get through without a passport? And she showed me pictures of many places along the Canadian border, the jagged Canadian border, where you don't need a passport to go through. There are stops, but there are also places you can go through a neighborhood and behind this and behind that and actually go into a wooded area and get across the border without being detected.
Guys, let's remember
that's something we'll wait to see what happens, see where he is, if they find him, if they ever find him.
I'm going to have
to just do a quick Google search here.
September
So interesting.
10th.
So Northport, Florida to Buffalo, New York, which would be pretty much almost
Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls, like straight north. If you were going, staying East Coast and just going like as like beeline in, if you will, for Buffalo,
since
right?
September the 10th.
That is a drive that is 20 hours long. That again, you can't just drive for 20 hours. And again, if you're bringing a camper with you,
he could have called a
that's going to slow you down at least a little bit. And you have to go at a speed limit where let's
I'm gonna
again,
turn it back up and
you don't want to attract attention. Don't want to attract. So you have to go the speed limit. Okay. And you have to stop for gas and you have to stop for rest. And now you could make the argument that they would rotate and take turns driving, and that's very possible. So maybe, just maybe, you could, in theory, if you did a non-stop trip and rotated drivers, you could make it to Canada. But that is that's a lot in a 3-day window. Just a tremendous amount of travel in a 3-day window.
And every time you stop, again, I reflect on Aaron Hernandez. Every time Aaron Hernandez stopped, he was captured on video and film or still shots. Every time you stop on the way at any convenience store, there's probably surveillance. And any time that I would assume, does the interstate system have cameras? I don't even know that answer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Interstate is littered with cameras. Almost not every, but just a lot of mile markers are going to have cameras.
So there you go. So there is a trail of pictures if that is what happened, but we don't know that's what happened. And I think you just have to ask the public to be patient at this point. A lot of people working on this case.
Eagle 8 HD has to refuel. Just wanted to show you a little bit of that's the underbelly of Eagle 8 HD, one of several camera shots that we have from our news chopper manned by Eagle 8 HD's Paul Lamison. You can follow him on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Paul posts a lot of shots, not just of the news stories that we cover, but of the beautiful area that is the Tampa Bay area here. So just want to keep our audience here up to date, up to speed. And Eagle 8 HD is preparing to refuel. And then he also here live outside of the Laundrie home here. Very quiet here so far this Monday morning. That wasn't the case here, though. Walt, that wasn't the case this morning. I'm going to try to queue up some video here. So to our audience here, bear with me for a second. I'm going to try to queue up some video here from this morning because there was a sort of a mini protest that occurred here this weekend. And let's see if we can kind of, this morning, not this weekend, this morning. I'm trying to multitask here, folks. Bear with me. But here is some of the sights and sounds from this morning here outside of the Laundrie home. People clearly extremely frustrated with what's been going on.
Laundrie family, you need to cooperate with investigators. This is not going away. You can't run away from this problem. Cooperate with the authorities. They demand answers. We demand answers. The Petito family demands answers. Where were you with Brian last weekend? Where were you with Brian? Why did you pick up Brian's car at the park? Where did you guys go on Labor Day weekend with your camper? What did you do? Did you dispose of evidence? Or did you set up that stuff for him to survive on? What did you do? Where did you go? We want answers.
So of course, it's been reported widely as a protest. But this is two people very upset, pissed. Let's just say pissed. And with megaphones and just, shouting into the house here. So some have called it a protest, but let's just call it what it is. So that we have a responsibility to our viewers. Let's just call it what it is. It's a man and a woman with megaphones, and I think that they are speaking a lot of the frustrations that the general public has with this story, and shouting here into the Laundrie family home in the direction of Chris and Roberta Laundrie, the parents of Brian Laundrie here. So I'd like to know what our commenters think of this kind of activity here.
I just, let me jump out of the journalism side of my brain. I just don't like it. And I just, you have to believe in the Constitution. You have to believe in the process. And it's just not. I look at something like that, and I would ask those people, what do you expect to happen from that?
Right.
What do you expect? Oh, okay. I'll come on. I mean, and they have a right not to talk. That's why our Constitution is better. And by the way, JB, this goes to a post that I was made aware of last week. This fuels this post where somebody, I didn't even respond. Somebody said that I have connections to the Laundrie family, and that I'm protecting the Laundrie family, and that I think they even said, "Oh, I must be a quote wife beater too, because I believe that there's a fairness here, and you have to be fair." And that right there is not fair. That's just unfair, because they don't have and I don't know the Laundries, and I don't have a dog in this fight other than I'm looking at both sides. I just look at that as I don't like it. And I think it's unfair. It's vigilant. It's a step before vigilantism is what it is.
I think that's a really good way to put it there. A step before vigilantism. And there are going to be commenters here that are going to say, and there already are, see it across Facebook and YouTube here, live on Facebook, YouTube, WFLA.com, the WFLA app here, that are saying, if I was in this, if I could be there, I'd be right out there with them with a megaphone. And
you have that right, I guess. They do have that right. I will say that.
Right.
If we're talking Constitution, they have a right to be out there. That's fine. They do.
But
I think.
And then there's the other comments. Wait, what was that, Walt?
Do they have the right? I guess, do you have the right to, is that disturbing the peace somehow?
That I guess,
is
depending on, and also too, various communities have different noise ordinances. This, every town has a certain decibel level, but usually a lot of noise ordinances are really only in place overnight, right? So this could very well be in complete compliance with the law here. But I'll throw up just the flip side. Muna Abshi or #KJB saying Muna thinks that it's unclassy. Why do the neighbors have to suffer too from your shouting? And yeah, this is not disrupting, disruptive to just Brian Laundrie's parents, but also to everybody else here on the street that has to hear this racket all the time.
Yeah. And I would go to, somebody might argue it's un-American as well. Again, the right against self-incrimination, the right not to talk to police, the right to have some privacy in your home. We don't know anything about what the Laundries did or did not do. They are not charged. No one charged in the homicide investigation. There's a person of interest. The Laundries aren't named in any document as people of interest. Their attorney did point out they cooperated at least this one time. I get the frustration though. People want this solved. I think people, again, feel they knew Gabby somehow because she was, they feel they know you as well, JB, and me, because we're out there, and Gabby, to a more personal degree, they believe they know her, and so they're way more vested than they would in a regular missing person case. But JB, you've been doing this long enough. Can you think of another missing person case like this one at all that had this much attention? I know we've had some in Florida. But no. I can't think of one like this. It's so unique.
This story is amplified by social media, and not just social media in the sense that right. You and I have been live for so many hours, but in the sense that Gabby and Brian's life, while it wasn't a fully open book, we were exposed to some chapters of that book via the realm that is social media. And so a lot of people felt a connection. We had some commenters here saying that they were following Gabby and Brian's journey even before, like we're talking like into July, but well before there were any perceived problems like the Utah video. So there were a lot of people that felt kinship and really loved following their travels and that van life concept that we were talking about here.
So you imagine those folks, because I didn't know who Gabby Petito was at that point.
Yeah,
my wife was an influencer. She didn't know who Gabby Petito was, but she identifies with her. And to a great degree, and I think a lot of people do. But along the social media part also, and I will add this: some of the key components that of what we've learned afterwards. The sighting at the restaurant Mary Piglets in Jackson, Wyoming, was released by an influencer out of New Orleans, right? An Instagram influencer. The vloggers, the video bloggers out of Spring Hill, they happen to get the video on the 27th. That one day that keeps coming up. August 27th, the last sighting of Gabby Petito alive and the sighting of her van. Those are modern. That's a modern profession, isn't it? I think it still is. It's a new profession, the vloggers, so that they would be traveling in the same area. So yeah, you're right. Social media has played a huge role in this case.
I did think of one case that reminds me of this as far as the fascination, and it is Elisa Lam in Los Angeles, and that of course was recently brought back into the public view through the Netflix series of the Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, which true crime aficionados know that one well, and even if you aren't a true crime kind of viewer, the death of Elisa Lam and her going missing in the Cecil Hotel and the elevator video that was chilling. There was that's probably the other case that comes to mind about a missing person where all that sleuthing went on. But that this one is, I think, is far larger in scope and size as far as capturing the audience that it has on social media. So that's the only other one that really comes to mind here. I have been told by 8 on Your Side's Jeff Patterson that there might be more activity here outside of the home here at 1 o'clock. The time now, 12:58 Eastern. So sometime in the next couple of minutes here, folks, there could be more protesting going on here outside of the Laundrie home. So this is a live picture here in the center of your screen. We'll stay live. And we'll see what kind of activity is going on here. We're going to, of course, always bring you the live feeds that we can here. We were live from Eagle 8 HD over the search area, the scaled down search, but we're also live here outside of Brian Laundrie's family's home here. So if there is more protesting like this morning going on here this afternoon, we will of course listen in here. And I think we're going to have a report here in just a couple of minutes from 8 on Your Side's Jeff Patterson here. Bring in a couple of the comments that have come in. We have tons of comments in the queue. You can use hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyWalt. And yeah, we'll look out for hashtag HeyJeff here as well. And Lisa, hashtag HeyJB. I live in Chicago and have driven from Chicago to Tampa in 22 hours straight myself with stopping for fuel, no rest. Absolutely a possible drive.
But you're in Chicago, aren't you? Still several hours from the Canadian border?
Yeah, you're getting closer. You're getting closer there. But I think to what Ann is saying here, that a day and a half, you definitely have that. Okay, hold on a second. Let's listen in. This is live from outside Brian Laundrie's home in Northport, Florida. Let's listen in.
Petito family, we're still asking you to do the right thing. Call law enforcement. Tell them what you know. Tell them where your son is. Tell them how you have helped them and the last place you saw him. We know you have the information that the officers and law enforcement need to find your son and hold him accountable for his actions. You also need to be held accountable for your actions. You must comply with law enforcement. Quit hiding behind attorneys and tell them what they need to know. What you're doing to the Petito family is wrong. You have to comply. You have to start responding. You have to tell people what you know. You are complicit in his disappearance. We know that. You know that. The whole world knows that. We want justice for Gabby. We want justice for the Petito family. We need you to start being responsible and doing the right thing. You guys are withholding evidence and information from law enforcement officers that can bring us into all of this. We don't want to be out here. We're out here for Gabby. We're out here for the Petito family. We need you and your help to stop this, to put an end to this. I'm ready to go home. Aren't you ready for me to go home?
need to cooperate with authorities.
We are not leaving.
You need to let authorities know what you know.
CC,
Help law enforcement.
I am in no mood for those type of jokes. This is your first warning. It will be blocked out this time. If you want to stick around here, you won't make jokes about it at a time like this.
Why did you
Okay?
let her go?
You need to cooperate with authorities.
With the law enforcement officers and help bring it into this manhunt.
Justice for Gabby. Justice for Gabby.
We want justice for the Petito family. They can't eat. They can't sleep.
Think about all these children that live in these surrounding houses.
You know where Brian is.
You know.
Bring him home. Bring him to law enforcement. Take him down there now.
Think about all the children that live in these surrounding houses that are having to listen to this mess. This is not right. This is not the right way to get attention to this case.
What you are doing is despicable. What you are doing is disgusting. It's inhumane. You have blood on your hands.
I guess anything
We want you held
for her
accountable
15
for
minutes
this.
of fame.
Running behind attorneys are not going to help you. We want justice for Gabby.
Justice for
We
Gabby.
want your son brought to justice. We want you brought to justice. What you have done is horrible. Stop doing it.
Justice for
Stop
Gabby.
doing the right thing. Start helping law enforcement. We need your help to bring an end to this. We need somebody held accountable for their actions. Your son, the murderer. We want your murderous son behind bars before he hurts anybody else. The Petito family deserves answers.
Somebody
You
delivered
have
flowers.
no answers.
Somebody delivered flowers.
Why are you not
To the laundry
with
house.
the officers? Why are you hiding behind attorneys? Why did you not even speak to the
Think about the children who live in these surrounding houses and are
Interesting
having
here,
to
we
deal
have a
with this
delivery
mess.
being
This is
made or a
ridiculous.
drop off of some kind. The gentleman here walking to the front door of the Laundrie family home, dropping off flowers here as a protest, as a man and a woman with megaphones are shouting at the house in the direction, of course, of Chris and Roberta Laundrie, the Laundrie parents here. So it looks like this man here is, he might be waiting. He might have knocked on the door. He is knocking on the door. You can see there. And it looks like he is waiting for some kind of a response here. But you can see there clearly he dropped off flowers. Not sure if there was a note there as well. As we're back here with you live here, folks. And maybe we can bring in 8 on your sides, Jeff Patterson. Jeff, can you hear us? And can you speak more about that drop-off we just had?
Yeah, JB, I can hear you. I'm just kind of letting this unfold in front of us right now. Basically, essentially we had a delivery of flowers. The man who has made the delivery is not saying about who they're coming from, or he said that the flowers are not for Gabby, that apparently they're for the Laundrie family. But obviously you have the 2 people who have been protesting. We've seen them out here, the 2 individuals that you see now in front of the home. We have seen them out here periodically over the last week, but today they've decided to bring a megaphone and to make their feelings known very clearly outside of the house. We just had that delivery of flowers. Last week they had a delivery of groceries. The family has been pretty much hunkered down inside of the house and has not had any interaction whatsoever with people out front. Other than the fact that the FBI came here this weekend, and according to the Laundrie family attorney, they collected personal items from Brian Laundrie to establish a DNA baseline for Brian Laundrie, so that they gave up personal effects of Brian's, so that the FBI could know what baseline of DNA to work off of in case they find Brian or anything to do with the case. But that said, that has been one of the few interactions that has happened all week. The Laundries went to go pick up Brian's Mustang last week after it was processed for evidence. Other than one other trip to go out to see their attorney in Orlando, they have not come outside of the house. As you may have mentioned, JB, over the weekend, you had a man who calls himself Dog, the bounty hunter, who's now tried to interject himself into this. He also knocked on the front door here for the Laundrie family. They did not answer, and he walked away. So a lot of activity, but not real action going on here at the Laundrie family house.
Great to have on here as well from WFLA News Channel 8, Josh Benson joining us here. We also have 8 on your sides. Jeff Patterson there for us on the microphone at the Laundrie home here. Jeff, I've been hearing that this couple here, this man, this woman who is demonstrating here outside of the home. Very loud sneeze.
That's
here.
the biggest
Wow.
sneeze I've ever heard in my life.
The biggest sneeze I've ever heard. Yeah. As we have the demonstration that's going on here, Jeff. I've been hearing that it's going to occur every hour on the hour. Is that accurate?
I believe so. That's what they've told us. They're literally sitting out in front of the home, kind of like we are in camp chairs. And once an hour, they get up for about 10 minutes and make their feelings known, which is, their First Amendment right, of course.
Jeff, we have people asking as they watch this. And first of all, what a strange scene. This man dropping out flowers, but then you have these protesters, so to speak, standing out there making all this noise. Are there officers out there currently outside the house? I would imagine there are. And at what point does this become an issue for the neighbors or for even the home in terms of disturbing the peace? I know it's their right to speak out, but at what point does this become an issue or a situation where the police get involved?
So I guess there are police out here. And I guess that would be a question for Northport Police. I don't have an answer to that because they don't have a public information person on hand.
You're going into time. You're going
there
into
are
a
officers here on the
5-minute
street, but so far nobody has
timeout.
made any effort at all to
If you want to be a part of this group, you will not say things like that
Jeff,
in this
it's JB
group.
again.
The next time you will be
has there been
blocked
any
permanently.
conversation there
Got
since
it?
you've arrived to the legality of being out here with the microphones? I know that some towns will have noise ordinances. This is disruptive, of course, to the neighbors here on this block as well. As we're seeing 8 on your sides, Jeff Patterson come into the frame here for us, folks. Again, we'll bring in now our boxes here, and we see two Jeffs, but now we can bring in one Jeff. There's one Jeff. So as we have 8 on your sides, Jeff Patterson here on the left side of your screen, anything about noise ordinances or anything about the legality of them protesting and demonstrating out here outside of the Laundrie family home?
No, I think, as I said, it's their First Amendment right to say what they feel, and so, I think that they're well within their rights to express their opinion.
Jeff, what else can you tell us here as far as the activity that you have noticed here outside of the Laundrie family home here, and are we expecting anything here in the hours ahead?
So it has been interesting just to see the cross-section of people who have come by. I interviewed a couple that had come here from Minnesota. They're in town. They have family that lives in Northport, but not in this neighborhood. And they came by just because they felt compelled to. And I asked them, what had drawn them here. And they just said that, they felt compelled because of Gabby's story and her loss. And they wanted to see the scene for themselves and to try to put it all together. But I think that people have been caught up in this story because, as you have mentioned before, Gabby certainly was out there herself on YouTube and, was trying to make a name for herself in that regard and had kind of had a very public side of her life. Of course, there's the public and the private side being the side we didn't really know about until this all blew up. But she certainly had a public persona on YouTube. And was, it looked like was having, the trip of a lifetime going across the country until then it all kind of fell apart.
This scene could eventually become like almost cult status with Casey Anthony's case. I think back to the parents' house when the media kind of descended upon their house. Over time, onlookers would come by, take pictures, because now all of a sudden this house has been put out worldwide for the last few weeks and people want to just be a part of the story. So I know of people that are actually driving down there just to get a shot of the house and say they were there, which is very strange, but it's part of our culture and that's what people want to do. I noticed a couple things just behind you, Jeff. First of all, there was a picture of Gabby and a note that was out there earlier that looks to have been removed. There's a no solicitation sign on the door that looks to be new. So any idea where the pictures went, stuff like that?
Sure. So last week there was a couple that came by and they put up things on the trees. It looks like those have been removed. They also left a little Gabby memorial over there.
There it is. Okay.
On a series of stakes that that were over to the side. Those remain, as well as some flowers that were left here. And that was just a couple that wanted to express their sorrow for the situation. I'm not sure how or when the signs from the trees were removed, but obviously they have been. And life is going on in this neighborhood to the extent that it can. I've noticed that, people have been cutting their grass and everything while we were here last week, but the Laundrie family has obviously not been able to cut their grass because there's media people out in front, literally around the clock, keeping an eye on everything at this house. And, I guess it's worth noting that those flowers were delivered. The man rang the bell and knocked on the door, but the flowers are still sitting there and don't know when or if or how they would be picked up.
I was out there last week, Monday, and obviously the media has been out there, and you guys have been out there every single day since. Is the media still present in terms of kind of having a position in each yard? I know that was always a specific thing that the networks wanted to have. There was agreements that were made on who could be where and what. Is that still happening out there?
Absolutely. There are still media tents that are set up that people have basically parked in the front yards of these homes. They've worked out arrangements with the homeowners to still be here. There's a row of media tents, or not tents, but camp chairs and umbrellas here just across from the house as people have just kind of, claimed their positions. There's people from the neighborhood that are here. There are cars
Guys,
that go
can
by
I
slowly,
just say
very
that those
periodically as
people
people
who
are
are
using
setting
their
up
cell phones to take
chairs
videos or
across the
pictures.
street,
And
no,
it's
they're
just
not on
become
the
a
Laundrie
spectacle,
property,
to be
but
perfectly
they are
honest.
still impeding
Jeff,
those other
again, for
people
those of you joining us here, Jeff Patterson here
from
outside of the
enjoying their
Laundrie family
peace.
home. Here we have a few more minutes with Jeff, and then we'll resume taking your hashtag Hey Jeff, hashtag Hey Walt, hashtag Hey Josh, hashtag Hey JB comments and questions here. Jeff, of course, we had the extremely touching memorial and the funeral for Gabby Petito over the weekend. We got to hear from some of the family members there and that very, very touching service that occurred in New York over the weekend. How do you, again, in your reporting experience here, the tenor now shifting here with this story as now the cries for justice for Gabby grows louder and louder here. As far as your coverage here of the story now, first and foremost, has there been any tenor shift over the course of today for you there on that street? And where do you think now the story goes forward now that we've had, of course, the funeral for Gabby Petito and the manhunt continues here for Brian Laundrie?
So as you probably already noted, Northport police have now notified us that they have greatly scaled back their search efforts in the preserve, and that the FBI is taking over that search effort in that they are not having a mass of people out there searching, that they're doing their focused, targeted search efforts based on information gathered and intelligence that they get. They're obviously not sharing that with us, but Northport police have now advised us that all of our questions directed to the search have to be directed to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And so, this is not just a local search effort. This is a nationwide effort. The field office out of Denver, to this point, has been running the search, and they have been answering questions, even though there's a field office for the Federal Bureau of Investigation in Tampa. I suppose because of where Gabby's body was found and where the search initiated, or where the story initiated, the field office in Denver would be in charge of that. But of course, they have resources all over the country. And that's part of the reason that there was the indictment on the misuse of the credit cards. That brought into it a federal charge and allowed, federal resources to be able to be applied here. And they will be going forward. Now, we don't know if there has also been a sealed murder indictment or not. We don't know one way or the other or not if the grand jury that initially returned that indictment for the misuse of the credit card has also sealed an indictment based on the murder. But all of that will unfold as the days go forward and as the search progresses. So obviously, the FBI has a lot of resources, and they can, monitor all of the friends and family of Brian Laundrie to maintain, vigil on this about how you pursue a manhunt going forward from this. And so certainly it's not just a search in case Brian Laundrie took his own life in that preserve, but it's also, is he still alive Where could he be? Is he reaching out to anybody that's within his sphere of influence?
That's a good point too, because that reserve is obviously filling up with water, and they're waiting for those waters to recede. So that is, if he's out there, that is some tough survival, if at all.
Yeah, I would think that at this point, you would have to be above and beyond the expert. I don't know that Bear Grylls could survive out there for this time without any other resources. And we know from communication from the family attorney that Brian's parents told him that he had left his wallet and his cell phone behind, and so they were concerned that he was going to harm himself. And so I know that people think that the Laundrie family has aided and abetted, but we don't know that. All we know is that we're getting communication from their attorney in that they believe he has harmed himself. And so, time will tell.
Jeff, we have one question for you before we let you go here. It's a question from one of our commenters. It's for you, from Aaron, here in the Facebook Live comment section, #HeyJeff. Do you know if the Laundries have been checking their mail?
No. As a matter of fact, when the mail truck came by just about half hour, 40 minutes ago, they did not stop at the Laundrie family home. They stopped at the neighbors. The neighbors already picked up their mail. I have not seen one instance yet where the Laundries have come out to get their mail.
Every detail clearly here under the microscope, and a lot of questions and comments coming in here, folks. 8 on your side, Jeff Patterson. You'll catch him on WFLA News Channel 8. Jeff, we'll kind of monitor your shot here. I know the battery is a precious resource as far as our news crews there in the field. So if your shot power's down, we have other feeds that we can go to here. But if there's anything of note here that happens at the house, we'll monitor your feed in case you power back up here, and we'll go to your feed live.
Very good. Thank you very much.
All right, Jeff. 8 on your sides. Jeff Patterson here for us, folks. Again, JB Buno, Josh Benson here with you live on WFLA Now. We'll really now start to ramp up your #HeyJB, #HeyJosh comments and questions coming in here out of the Facebook Live, YouTube Live comment sections here. And really quickly, Josh, we just kind of threw you into our Monday coverage here.
Right.
Any weekend notes here? A lot of comments about Dog, the bounty hunter, the DNA evidence that was collected from the house. Anything you want to note here before we really get into the #HeyJB, #HeyJosh comments?
First of all, the memorial service, it was a beautiful service to what we saw of it. It was nice to be able to see that, to be able to report on it, and be able to have our station cover certain aspects of it. So I think a lot of people were happy that they could be a part of that too. I know it was for the public, but there was a short time that everybody could stream it live. So that was good to see. Dog the bounty hunter, obviously people went bananas over that. Just in terms of his celebrity, in terms of him being there, was he there for just to actually help, or was it a publicity stunt? He's always going to try to track down what's happening and be a part of any big case. So if he aids in it and succeeds, that's all the better for this case, in my opinion. Other than that, today I touched a little bit on the reward. I know there's been a lot of different rewards popping up. We talked about the $20,000 from the Tampa firm that came out earlier today. I also mentioned a neighbor of Gabby Petito had put up $5,000 and then moved that up to $10,000. But now I have on one of the Gabby Twitter accounts that are following the case, they've kind of compiled all the rewards that are out there in terms of who's putting up the money, sponsored by. So we have the Buhoff Law Firm, the Upchurch musician Sean Whalen, the MJ Morning Show, parents of Gabby Petito, and a neighbor of Gabby Petito, puts it in the ballpark of $170,000. So whether or not those individuals do pay up if and when this thing ends is debatable, but the fact that this amount is growing, more people are putting their money in the ring, so to speak, to help try to find this guy. And I think we're only going to see more of that as we go on. So $170,000 really starting to climb for a target here with Brian Laundrie.
Again, a lot of questions and comments coming in here through #HeyJosh, #HeyJB. We'll monitor those comments, and really let's kind of go, Josh, you ready to go kind of rapid fire through a lot of these? Because a lot of these have been in the queue since, of course, we had that little micro demonstration here outside of the house, and Jeff's live report there for us at the Laundrie family home there in Northport. Let's get to Tina Shelton, #HeyJB. How do they know that Brian didn't leave the country before
I'm in no
the
mood
warrant.
for it.
And I would imagine that
If I
if
was
there was
making
any
one dime off of
official
this, I would donate it to
entry point
Gabby's
into another country
Memorial
that
Fund. Do you
Brian,
get my
I would
drift?
imagine that this is something that has been explored. And with a search this
There.
magnitude,
You
Josh,
can
when you're
go
talking about the
create
Federal
another
Bureau of
account now.
Investigation getting involved, they have access to immeasurable resources to know whether or not Brian Laundrie left the country, if in fact he left the country
Sure.
in an area that they can monitor.
I think he'd have better luck, obviously, stateside, just trying to figure out what part of what state he wants to hide out in and be in that wilderness. Likely that's where he would be, in my opinion. I think that that's a good question. Even a lot of people talking about, is he in the reserve or is he no longer there and on the run? I actually ran a poll about that. Just wanted to see what people are thinking. And I put it up there yesterday, and 1,800 votes. Where do you think Brian Laundrie is currently? The Carlton Reserve, 8% think he's there on the run. 91% thinks he's gone.
I've seen similar social media polls, and that number of the percentage of how many people think he's at Carlton Reserve shrinks by the day.
Right.
You know, it's also shrinking, folks.
The
Again, if you're just
search.
joining us, the search is scaling back. Josh Taylor with the Northport Police Department telling us this morning that they have significantly, or I'm saying significantly based on what we're seeing from the air, but they have scaled back the search efforts at Carlton Reserve. It's been shifted more towards Miakahachi. You got it, Josh? Take care of what you need to take care of. They have shifted it to the east, closer to Miakahachi, the original search area where they initially began that weekend search there. And again,
hey guys, it seems like they're just repeating the same stuff over and over and over again. So I just thought that we would talk, if that's okay with you guys. First of all, the comments like that guy just came in here and made will not be tolerated. I don't know who he thinks he is, but that will not be tolerated. I have already said over and over and over until I'm blue in the face, I am not monetized. You have to have 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours to even apply to be monetized. I had my channel before Gabby even went missing. If I was making a dime off of this, a dime, I would donate it to her memorial fund. There are other channels that are doing this for the clout and for the money. I can tell you one right now that is. You want to go bother somebody? Inbox me and I'll give you her page name. I've had it. I love you guys too. They come after me because I'm a smaller channel and they think that I'm a little girl and I'm just going to take whatever they want to say to me. Bull crap. I grew up with 4 brothers. I'm the baby of 4 brothers. Nothing these people can say or do will break me. People tried last week to break me. It will not happen. Oh, I'm not getting upset. I'm just telling them what the rules are going to be. It won't happen. You want me to leave YouTube? I'm not leaving YouTube. You want someone to leave YouTube? Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I will report on Gabby's case until justice is done for Gabby. Got an issue with it? Build your bridge and get over it. Because I'm done. Do you see me on here going, oh my God, do you see how many followers I had in here today? No, you don't. I'm thankful for each and every one of you. But you don't see that because I won't do that. Yes, Sophia, can you tell us some more about the protest in your city that's going on right now? Irvin, you give me encouragement. You give me encouragement. And when you do your first live, when you do your first video, I want to know it so that I can share it to my page, to our page, and get you some viewers. And Irvin, you know, your people that were following you before, they're waiting on you. All you've got to do is start it back, buddy. That's all you've got to do. I'll sub to Irvin right now. In fact, Irvin, so that I'll be prepared when you do your first one, I just subscribe to your channel. I just subscribe to your page. I'm ready for you, buddy. Go make that first video. You can do it. You did it before. And don't let anyone get into your head. Go for it, Sophia. Oh, you're welcome, Irvin. It's my pleasure. I'm just waiting on you now to make your first video. I want to tell y'all something, guys, okay? I listened to someone yesterday, and some of you are going to know who I'm talking about. Tell people where they could and could not go into other channels and listen to and subscribe to and things like that. We are not in 5th grade. We are not in kindergarten. We're not in high school trying to figure out if we can go to the senior prom or not, or who we're going to take. We are grown adults. Go where you want to. I feel like I would get judged by my race. Sophia, no. Sweetheart, don't let anybody hold your race against you, okay? Or hold you back. Sophia? Same thing for you. I just subscribed to your channel. I'm just waiting on you to do your first video. Sophia, we all have a little bit of every descent within our bodies. We all have a little bit. You're welcome, Sophia. We all have a little bit. I have Cherokee Indian in me. My great grandmother was a full-blooded Cherokee Indian. And then my great grandfather was a full-blooded Indian as well. We all have a little bit of different DNA in us. Don't let that hold you back. I was scared to death to start my channel because of my speech. For those of you that don't know, I had a stroke 10 years ago. And it left me with an impediment. Well, it left me with having migraines, and that also mimicked a stroke. So when I would have a migraine after I had the stroke, it was like I was having a stroke over and over and over again. So I had to go to speech therapy, physical therapy, and occupational therapy. I had to basically learn how to walk and talk all over again without using a walker or anything. I may do it, Sophia. I may do it. But I was scared to death to start my channel. Scared absolutely to death. Scared to death. I would literally sit at my kitchen table. Yeah, y'all can call me a kitchen lady if you want to. That's fine. But I would literally sit at my kitchen table with my camera on, recording stuff. Oh, thank you, Sophia. I appreciate that. It took me 10 years to get to where I could talk again. 10 years. And now if I get upset, and sometimes when I'm reading stuff, it takes me a little while to figure out what the is, what the next word is that, or the one I'm trying to say something is, sound what the next word is going to be. My husband grills a lot. I don't. My husband does and my son does. But guys, I would literally sit at my kitchen table and record myself and delete it, record myself and delete it, and record myself and delete it. Finally, one day, my husband asked me why I was deleting it. And I said, because it's not right. It's not perfect. Yeah. I did get a lot of negative feedback and backlash. Thank you so much, Sophia. Irvin's right. I received a lot of negative feedback and backlash. And I hate it for him, but it only made me stronger. One person attacked me brutally. Actually, 2 people attacked me brutally. And both times, my husband asked me why I was letting those people control my day-to-day life. If my dream was to have a YouTube channel where people would come and talk to me and I could talk to them, why was I letting them hold me back? And from that moment on, I just decided they're not going to do it anymore. They don't have that power over me. You should hear Alicia. Alicia's taking care of some family things right now. She'll be back in a couple of days. But oh yeah, when Alicia's here, she's my sidekick. I miss Alicia. This morning, guys, or yesterday, when I went live for the first time since Alicia and I, have joined up. Yes, y'all are right. Since Alicia and I joined up yesterday, the first time I went live without her. And guys, I didn't really know what to do there for a minute. I was like, no, Irvin, you're fine. You're just fine. I didn't really know what to do there for a minute. I'm like, where's Alicia? Because, guys, Alicia makes my thumbnails for me. I had very generic thumbnails. Very generic. And Alicia was started making my thumbnails for me. Then the next thing I know, we were talking about, she would go live with me. And then kind of encouraged her to start doing some lives on her channel. So we use her channel as kind of like to talk about issues going on in YouTube world and how we each can play a role in making YouTube a better community. And then we use this channel for true crime. Also, after watching so many people lose their channels, I have a backup channel that I stream to. Everything that I record, this right here is being streamed to my backup channel as we speak. So I won't lose my content. You want to take my channel down? You won't get my content. Take my channel. You won't get my content. But I can promise you, I will fight like a bear before you'll take my channel. Pepper snacks from TikTok too. I don't know about those pepper snacks now. Oh, I don't know. I have to research that one. I have to ask myself. You think that's appropriate for me to ask my 21-year-old son about? Because I started this to tell y'all. Do not ever, ever, ever let anyone tell you what channels that you can go visit, who you can go subscribe to, what you can do while you're there, who you can talk to. Nothing. Don't let them do that to you. Don't. They don't have that right to do you like that at all. Ever. I don't care if you leave me and go watch whoever else in the world. I don't care. You're a grown adult. If you want to go watch them, go watch them. I do hope that you don't go watch people that promote violence. That's the only thing I'm saying. But other than that, if you decide you want to go watch them, knock yourself out with it. Go watch them. Exactly, Sophia. No one else is nobody else doing it. Oh, thank you, Sophia. But I thought Sophia was saying nobody else is better than anybody else. And that's the truth too. Sophia, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. No, I'm not growing by 10,000 subs a week. I'm not sure that I want to grow by 10,000 subs a week. See, Larry, I can respect that. I watch Kim and Crafton. I can't get into Truth Teller. But I watch Kim and Crafton. Kim and Crafton are my friends. But I respect you and your right to go watch Truth Teller. And I got news for you guys. If the creators, quote unquote creators, were truly your friends, they wouldn't be telling you where to go to like that. That's just my opinion. Don't come for me. Mm-hmm. Sophia, I get messages about stuff that people wouldn't believe. And I investigate it. Yes, watch and do your own research. I respect that. Mo knows that. Mo knows. Look, that's what caused me to get attacked by another creator, is because I wanted to go into another channel, and it was Truth Teller's channel, to see what was going on with Kim and Crafton. I didn't say anything bad about the other creator. I wanted to go see for myself. When I came back out of Truth Teller's channel, you would have thought I had committed murder. Never again will anybody on YouTube have that kind of control over me. Also, covering these cases, if someone tells you that they're going to repeat what they think are the facts until they have proven that they're not facts, you might want to reconsider watching them. In my book, you can't say something is a fact until you've proven it's a fact. You don't state something as a fact until you verified it's a fact. That's why if I don't have the backup for it, I will always say, in my opinion, Brian Laundrie is in the Appalachian Mountains. In my opinion. But you cannot tell somebody something is a fact, that you're going to say something is a fact until you can prove it's not a fact. And you're saying this to tens of thousands of people. You need to watch yourself. You need to watch yourself. Also, I'm going to tell you something else. The Petito family, not the family to try exploiting to make money off of. Not the ones to do it on. Don't try it. Don't think about trying it. Don't even think about trying it. They will have your butt in court within a week, and you will live to regret that. They are not playing. Yes, small channels need to be verified. Yes, they do need to be verified a lot better. YouTube, Google needs to do a better job. And guys, I don't mind to tell y'all why my name, my real name, and my real picture's not out there. It's because people go real life and YouTube will not stop it. Charlene, is that what they're doing? They're delivering flowers. You know what's going to happen next, guys? Do y'all know what's going to happen next with all that foolishness? The Laundrie family, the parents are going to go missing. The Laundrie parents are going to go missing next. Then any hope of finding Brian is going to dwindle down even further. This family has $5 million net worth. Yes, I will protect myself. Not only for myself, but for my husband and my children. I decided to have a YouTube channel. My 21-year-old and 23-year-old children did not decide to do this. My husband did not decide to do this. They support me in doing this, but they didn't decide to do this. I did. And if you're going to come for my family, you better pack your lunch for at least 2 or 3 days because you're going to need it. Mama Bear will come out if you come for my family. I promise you that. Charlene, they said they had 2 police officers who were rotating. Okay? 2 police officers. But, oh, me too, Sophia. Charlene, listen at this timeline, okay? Just listen to it, okay? September the 1st, Brian Laundrie arrives back in Florida, okay? He was gone by the 10th. He was. The missing persons case wasn't even filed until the 11th. Most likely, They had police cars sitting outside watching the home, and the home was empty. He was already gone. Gone. Mom and Dad came back home on the 14th, said they'd been camping. No Brian. He was gone. Neighbors say that up until from September the 1st until the 10th, he was riding his bicycle, mowing the lawn, doing things outside, very active, driving that all-important Mustang convertible. After the 10th, you don't see him anymore. Where'd Mom and Dad take him to? Why do you come home from a month-long camping trip with your girlfriend without her, and then you're going to leave suddenly on a 3-day camping trip with your parents? Come on now. How much camping can you actually do within a 2-month period? Usually after somebody takes a month-long trip like that, actually, they left July the 2nd, so he was gone 2 months on the camping trip with Gabby. So if you're gone from home for 2 months, are you going to come back home for like 10 days and be ready to leave again for 3 days? Nope. Not unless you got somewhere to go, or something to hide from. You're not going to do it. Guys, if y'all don't mind, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Yeah, 3 adults in a teeny tiny camper like that. Now, I'm going to tell y'all, I love my husband and I love my son that lives at home. I love both of my boys. My son that lives at home is 21. I've got a 23-year-old. Brian went missing now. I don't know if he's predicted or not. Yeah, they have him hidden somewhere. That I love my husband and I love my boys. There's no way I could sleep with my husband and one of my sons in that itty bitty camper that they said that they went camping in, and that goes on the bed of a truck. No way. Not enough room. Nope. 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 So let's just remember, guys, Brian has not been seen by the neighbors since September the 10th. September the 10th. He has not been seen by the neighbors since September the 10th. His family did not notify the police that he was actually, quote unquote, missing until the 17th. 7 days, guys, for him to get anywhere. Mom and Dad took him wherever for 3 days. It is a lot of time to disappear, Irvin. Sophia, I don't know if the neighbors have any ring cameras or not. I'm sure that won't be divulged until, until later on, when they release more information. Right now, they're keeping things pretty close to the vest. But that's a lot of time to disappear. He had at least a 7-day head start on the police. And the people who come in here, Sophia, yeah, a lot of the towns do have cameras on the poles. Excuse me, I'm sure they've pulled all of those. And I'm like, Mo, I'm hoping that they got them all collected in time. But the people who want to come in here and put Dog the Bounty Hunter down, guys, hold on just a moment, okay? I'm getting a phone call from my dad. Let me make sure he's okay, all right? Just a second. Guys, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My dad is 79 years old. So if he calls, I try to always take his phone call. I will always take his phone call. But yes, a lot of the cities do have cameras on the poles and stuff. So maybe they've pulled that information in enough time. So, all right, guys, this one's been about 2 hours, so I'm going to go and let y'all rest a little bit, and I'm going to rest a little bit because, see, I really want them to check the red truck GPS. And Mojangles, I do not understand why they did not take that red truck in. I do not understand why they didn't. I don't. It blows my mind. It just blows my mind. But I do appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do so and that notification bell. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the subs. Thank you to everyone that's been here. I appreciate you so, so much. And as they laugh at me for saying, leave your DNA on the thumbs up on your way out the door. Bye, y'all. I'll see y'all after a while. Thanks, everybody.